Hey, I'm PianoBruce, and in this video I'll be teaching you the many types of rests in music. Before we get into this, make sure you subscribe so that you never miss an upload, and if you're interested in taking piano lessons online or in person, feel free to get in touch. Now let's get into this. Rests are moments of silence in music, and as the name implies, allows you to have some time to relax. You will usually see rests written separately for each hand as you play if you are on a two-part stave with bass and treble clefs. It can be used to help you keep in time as well as providing space for the listener to take in each musical phrase. In this piece, you can see how the hands take over from one another. There are notes played by one hand here and the other is resting at the same time. But where there are both hands resting, it is silent at these points. The rests in this piece are quarter note rests, the same as a crotchet, and they last for one beat, and they kind of look like a squiggly line. Notice how the rests will help you keep in time with the song, especially when there is complete silence. Sometimes it can be quite hard to tell yourself to keep your hands off the piano, so it takes some practice before you really get to understand how to use them. To put it simply, we can think of rests as invisible notes, and a little exercise you can do to get used to these is to play on interchangeable beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Now that we're familiar with a quarter note rest, let's look at a couple others. This one is a half note rest, equal to a minim, which is 2 beats long. And the way we write this rest is usually a block which sits on top of the middle line of the stave, or the same line used to write B on a treble clef or D on a bass clef. This one is a whole note rest, which is the same as a semi-breve, and it lasts for 4 beats. However, this can also be used as a whole bar rest, even if the value of the bar is less than 4 beats. As you can see here, they use it in 2/4 and 3/4 timings. Whole note rests sit on the 4th line of the stave, which would also be the same as D on the treble clef or F on the bass clef. Whole note rests are very common in music because a lot of the time you will find yourself resting for a whole bar and coming back in with the next bar. To show you what both of these rests sound like in a song, I'm going to play All of Me by John Legend. The first 8 bars play the left hand while the right hand rests. When the verse begins, the right hand starts on a 3rd beat, which means I have to rest for 2 counts before playing. So it sounds like this. As you can see, where there are 2 count rests, it tells me exactly when I have to start playing with my right hand. It's an easy way of keeping count of where you are on the stave. But what do rests look like for values less than 1 beat? Like quavers, rests have a similar structure. Start with a normal quaver, which in its rest form looks a little like the number 7 and lasts for half a beat. Then as you progress through the semi-quavers, demi-semi-quavers and hemi-demi-semi-quavers, you add another little flick to the rest, kind of like the extra tails on the side of the quavers. The Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy by Tchaikovsky makes use of the quaver rest during the intro where both hands take over from one another, so you can kind of see how the rests become interchangeable on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. The rests in this part of the song tell each hand when to come in at certain points. For example, if I just play the left hand, it sounds like this. But if I play the right hand without the left hand, it sounds like this. Remember, the first count I don't do anything on. So it goes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Which sounds a little bit odd if you're not counting with it. But if you put both of them together, It sounds like this. It's especially important that I have the rest here because if I didn't, I would have to start on the first count, which changes the song completely. These are the most common types of rest that you will see in music notation, and a lot of the time when you are reading, they will naturally become part of your practice as they give you time to breathe. Think of it like speaking. Imagine if you gave a speech without any pauses. It would be quite boring for the audience and you would probably run out of breath. Imagine if you gave a speech without any pauses, it would get quite boring for the audience and you would probably run out of breath. The rests within music provide space for the listener to take in the musical sentences as you play, and is just one of the many useful techniques you can use to write great music. Rests work particularly well with music that has multiple instruments. They allow the performer to keep in time with the rest of the musicians by counting off the beats, even if their part isn't until later in the piece. This is where you might see this kind of rest written on the page, where the number signifies the number of bars where there is no notes. This is a lot easier than writing 15 bars of this, which uses unnecessary space. And that's it for this lesson on rests. Let me know in the comments below if this helped you out, and I can also answer any questions you have. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you never miss an upload. As usual, I'll be creating many more videos like this and posting them weekly. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.